segment, I'm going to be going through different herb varieties, some of the basics, and some things that you can be using in different ways around the kitchen area. I'm going to start off with the most common herbs that I like to use for most marinades: beef, chicken, any kind of pork, or even seafood. We have rosemary, very typical. Has a white frosty stem area, very pungent in the smell, so it's actually easy to identify if you know the smell of rosemary. So we have rosemary here. Oregano. Oregano is more of a European Italian spice, so this would be great to cook down with your poached and peeled tomatoes that you've learned how to use and make, and making your own pasta sauce with some of this oregano. And thyme as well. So oregano will have more of a felty, soft leaf, larger leaf area, and with the thyme you're going to get very small leaves on long stems. We have thyme here. We also have some flat leaf parsley. Parsley is usually used as a garnish, but there are some recipes that call for it, usually scampi-like dishes using shrimp. We have dillweed, very strong, very pungent. Again, it can be identified by smell. Very light and frilly leaves, almost looks like the top of carrots. And this actually was something that I used in a hand roll with some fresh salmon and cream cheese and tomatoes. So again, it goes very well with seafood, more of a fish item to be used with. Here we have the basil that you'd seen earlier in our other video. I used balsamic in a balsamic vinaigrette. Again, great on anything that you're making with an Italian flair, homemade pasta, or even over your salads. It adds great flavor. Here we have actually a whole cilantro root. We have the root intact and the cilantro plant. So for those of us that grow it at home, cilantro is great to have in your garden. Once it starts to seed, it turns into coriander, and you can actually go ahead and harvest the seeds and dry them up if you're knowledgeable enough to use that as well in your spices. But cilantro, again, more of a south of the border type of flavor, using it with lots of fish, tacos, and you can be using it in dressings and actually making a pesto out of it as well. Here we just have a little bit of spearmint just to show you what a typical mint plant will look like. Again, very easy to identify with the smell. When working with herbs, you definitely want to wash all of your produce very well through a strainer, drying it on either a paper towel or on a clean dish towel is fine. And then we have a reusable jar that you can use, or just a simple glass of water. Filling the water up so that the stem is able to touch it, like so. So we go ahead and place our herbs in that water, and then we can place it in the refrigerator. Sometimes our refrigerators are a little cold, actually giving the edges of the herbs some frostbite. So one helpful thing that you can do is you can take a plastic bag like so and recycle it by covering your herbs using a rubber band, some kind of tie, just to kind of seal off the extra cold frigid air, but keeping that cold water to keep your herbs fresh. I'm going to go through just a small demonstration on how to clean and prepare your herbs for cooking. So most herbs, like the thyme here, growing on a long stem, you would be able to just strip right off. So I'm going to take that thyme all by itself, take off the little sprigs of thyme, and then I'm going to run against the grain of the leaf, and I'm just going to strip it off right into my bowl, like so. And combining these flavors is also quite nice for certain marinades. One of my favorite things to make is a herb roasted chicken. Take an organic chicken breast, take some of this thyme, take a little bit of the oregano, take some of that, and just pluck it off. And these you could just pluck off the leaves individually. Again, the stems that are hardier you want to exclude out of your recipes because they will show up later on when trying to enjoy your meal. When I use even a pasta-based sauce, you can actually add the entire stem to the sauce, and then just making sure to remove it after. The leaves will actually fall off in the cooking process, so that's one way to work with the herbs as well. But we're going to make a little medley so that we can go ahead and marinate some chicken. So I've got some thyme, a little bit of oregano, and we can even spice it up with a little bit of this rosemary here. So again, working against the grain of the leaf, plucking it off of the stem, like so. Got that stem left. So we have our little medley of herbs like such. We would put it over that raw meat in, say, a Ziploc bag or a glass bowl, and marinate it in a little bit of olive oil, some fresh garlic, and for at least a half an hour before baking. And once you're done, you're actually going to come up with the finished product that looks like such. So we have this organic chicken breast that I had marinated down in 3 different herbs, olive oil. I baked it at 375 for about 15 to 20 minutes, flipping it over and then finishing it on broil so you get a nice crispy outer layer and tender inner layer. So with most meats, after roasting, you definitely want to let it rest for 15 minutes before slicing, giving it a chance to absorb all of the flavors. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
I want a spaceship to travel